All right, everyone, we have probably the most intriguing situation within modern politics right now unfolding before us, actually involving Buzzfeed's possibly destroying the Democratic Party, and I'll tell you why. Do you actually believe the story that Russians intruded into the DNC servers? You know, the ones that they refused to show to the FBI? Do you actually believe that they refused to show them because they were confident in their assessment that Russians were involved? Or do you think it was problematic at the time and they didn't want anyone to realize that somebody from within the Democratic Party itself, probably a Sanders loyalist, maybe his first name was Seth, you never know, don't be a tinfoil hat wearer, nothing that crazy could ever happen within the realm of politics anywhere in the world. Certainly not here in glorious US, because we're just so much better than like KGB era Russia or something. So great, so honest, there's no swamp, establishment's just perfectly benevolent. BuzzFeed is suing, believe it or not, BuzzFeed, far left, corporate neoliberal pawn. They're suing the DNC right now in order to get a hold of information to help them in their own lawsuit. You see, an individual that was involved with the leaked emails there from Russia, they're saying, well, this person, he's suing for slander. He's suing BuzzFeed for reporting on it and pretending that Russians were involved in getting into the DNC servers. So he's saying, no, that never happened. I was not involved. It was not a Russian hack. You need to go somewhere else and figure out what happened. BuzzFeed, though, reported, speaking objectively at the time, they reported that he was involved, that the Russians were involved in hacking the server. He turns around and sues. They're like, oh shit. We don't have any proof. We don't have any forensic evidence from the servers. The DNC won't give the servers to the FBI. They don't release a statement they don't even talk about any evidence that they have. They just say that it was Russians. We need help. So we're suing the DNC right now in order to force them to give us information to help us in our lawsuit to fend off this dude who's suing us for slander. DNC then is in a tricky situation. If there is no actual evidence that the Russians hacked these servers, BuzzFeed is going to get fucked under, and the DNC is going to get fucked under. Because at some point, it's going to become evident that there is no evidence of that whatsoever. That BuzzFeed can be sued because it did commit defamation of character on this Russian individual. It'll be a clear case of defamation because they will have reported something on a private individual that was not true. Pretty cut and dry. So BuzzFeed, they probably get fucked out of business. The DNC is revealed for having lied to the American people and started, literally, it would finally be laid bare for everyone to see that the origination of the Russia bullshit that came from the DNC was based on false information. That literally the reason they didn't give the servers to the FBI is because they came out, in order to do damage control, they came out and blamed Russia before any of the higher-ups there could greenlight the concept. I think what happened is that some middle management people there, they flipped out when they saw the original report. Oh, the DNC's emails are here. Ha, says WikiLeaks. They melted down, and it took them a very short amount of time before formulating their crude response, which was, oh, Russians hacked into this, so don't look into the content. Classic sort of a Hillary Clinton playbook. The problem with that is that the FBI came calling and said, well, this is alarming. What proof do you have? We're not going to show you the servers. These are involved in campaigning. It's private material, related to political campaign. It's immune. You can't look at it. You're not allowed to look at it. Those servers probably have been dumped into a vat of acid by now. So trust me, they've at least been very, very well scrubbed by multiple firms. The bleach bit thing. That was totally normal, by the way, for, Hillary Clinton using that sort of erasing program for supposedly non-classified material. Makes sense. I'm sure she cared a lot about somebody recovering those emails regarding Chelsea's wedding. It was a really, really important inside info. Including that apparent SOC email that Obama was using for private communication purposes while holding the highest office in the land. That's totally normal too. There's nothing to see here, folks. Here's my prediction. If the DNC is compelled to give them evidence, they won't be able to give it to them. They will have to come out and say, well, we just can't, Your Honor. Your Honor will say, why? Why can't you give, I'm ordering you, it's perfectly reasonable for BuzzFeed, in this case, to expect you to help them in their lawsuit because they're being sued for slander. They're saying you have evidence that can exonerate them of this particular civil problem. You have to give them that evidence. Unless you want to say that's totally like top secret or something. But the thing is, the FBI never saw it, so it couldn't have been declared secret now, could it? So they're going to have to come out and say, well, there's no evidence of it. We don't have anything forensic to show you. At that point, even the lamestream media will probably jump down their throats because, the missing link media isn't totally on board with the same sort of propaganda that the CNNs or MSNBCs are. They'll take an opportunity to hit, a BuzzFeed. At the same time, all the right-wing media circles, like Breitbart, will have a field day. Oh, BuzzFeed that constantly talks about how bad and wicked and evil we are. Haha, they defamed this dude and started a conspiracy theory that almost choked off our entire nation's electoral system. And they'd be right, by the way, in that summation. It wouldn't even be like some weird right-wing propaganda. It would be true. Because, I mean, they would have reported this without any evidence whatsoever. The DNC would have had no evidence. And if you look at the timeline of people's reaction to these various leaks, it wasn't just the DNC emails, it's Podesta's emails too. If you look at the timeline, the DNC at first didn't even say that it was their emails, and yet they were already blaming Russia. It was a conflicting account that they gave. And this came from people high enough up in the DNC, literally the head of the DNC at the time, Donna Brazile. Other people higher ups, Podesta, Clinton's campaign chair, he would have known what was going on. Deputy DNC director, I can't remember their name. Now, all of these people at the highest level, they gave conflicting accounts, sometimes in the same day to different groups, of what had happened. Donna Brazile comes out, oh, these are stolen emails. The Russians stole them, but I can't confirm that they're real. I'm not going to comment on these possibly fake stolen emails. Like you couldn't have told that they were real by just having a staffer say, okay, look up Donna Brazile in here. Oh, my email is there, the DNC's emails. Okay, it's real. They couldn't have gotten it without having access to the server. It's obviously real. And yet you continued. You persisted for weeks in saying you won't confirm or deny. Podesta, he comes out and says, well, I'm not going to dignify this by saying anything about it because these are not real, but they're also stolen. Somebody committed a crime by stealing something that wasn't even real. That's called fabrication, not stealing. That's called, it's defamatory at that point. Not that you're going to get in trouble if it's through WikiLeaks, but I mean, it has nothing to do with stealing if it's not real material. You can't steal an illusion. You can't steal a ghost. Unless you're a stage magician. But yeah. BuzzFeed, it's very funny. Of all the groups in the United States, would you have thought that BuzzFeed might be the organization to actually really, really cripple the DNC? And hopefully this goes quickly as a legal suit. Hopefully the people in this case, they very, very quickly wrap things up and they don't go through all the legal maneuvers. That way, before the midterms, we can probably get to hear yay or nay, this is actually realistic. I want to see some proof. The DNC has still, to this day, a year later, never given anyone any evidence whatsoever of their claims of Russian involvement. All of these other groups, moderate confidence, we're pretty confident that it was the Russians, but we haven't even seen the DNC servers. So we're confident because the Russians, they have bot accounts and they do the normal propaganda thing every significant state in the world does, so we just assume that they're the ones that hacked it. There might have been Russian fingerprints there. The same ones that can be left behind by software literally developed by the U.S. intel agencies. Yeah, we can frame anyone in the world we want for a data intrusion. Even having Russian fingerprints on it, technically speaking, isn't evidence of anything. That could come out in the actual case. If the case goes forward, let's say that the DNC supplies BuzzFeed with just a readout that says some tech expert will come out for them and say, yes, there were Russian fingerprints on the servers. We still can't show them to you. So, you can't cross-examine or anything, screw you, basically, but trust us, they're there. Okay, says this individual, there is CIA technology out there that would let any considerable actor put those fingerprints there. The problem being that material was stolen and given to various groups years ago. And it was big at the time. You remember that being reported on, by the way, everyone? Do you remember? When I believe it was XKeyscore and all of these other programs, when they were leaked out in various forms, there was that hacking group that had them, and they said, okay, everyone have fun with these wonderful things. Of course, no one in their right mind is going to even download it, but it's apparently real. These intel agencies' programs can literally intrude into a system and do their thing, and they can leave behind the fingerprint of any particular state that they happen to want. So in other words, China could hack into a U.S. corporation and blame the Russians. The Russians could hack into it, blame North Korea. I think there was a case where there were fingerprints from like Uganda or one of these countries on some data intrusion. Everyone's like, well, you know, I wonder if it was legitimately from this very, very impoverished third world nation, not exactly known for its tech finesse. Yeah, probably. I'm sure that it was the one Windows 95 in the whole country that was being utilized for that attack. I don't think so. So the DNC might be up shit creek without a paddle and without a boat at this point. Buzzfeed could end up taking them down with this suit. Of course, there's always the possibility the DNC will say, just shut up, withdraw this suit, we'll pay you whatever you end up owing for slander, don't worry, we'll double it, okay? But, you know, the problem is the DNC doesn't have a lot of money right now. George Soros will have to get involved. Then they'll have to kiss his ring. They'll be even more entrenched with that sort of weird propaganda at the end of the lawsuit if something like that happens. But if it goes forward, if they do compel the DNC to pony up some sort of evidence in this case on behalf of Buzzfeed, my prediction is they're not going to be able to pony up anything. And if they do give anything over, it won't actually be admissible because it won't be proof of much of anything. It'll be, hey, here's a sheet of paper that says Russian fingerprints. Okay, well, it has nothing to do with this private individual. It has nothing to do with anything. How do you know he was involved? BuzzFeed's saying he's involved in this intrusion. He's suing. Do you have proof of his involvement or proof of Russian involvement at all? No, says the DNC. We don't have proof. We have something we consider evidence. The FBI is moderately sure without looking at the server that it is. So that's going to be considered some wonderful expert testimony, I'm sure. That's about all. Peace out.